Today I thought I would bring you along as I sew up these two slightly modified fold and go wallets. Hi, my name is Melissa. If you're brand new here, I design sewing patterns for bag making. I also sell hardware, zippers, sewing notions, acrylic templates, t-shirts, and much more on my website at sewyours.com. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at each of these wallets and the modifications that I went ahead and made, and then we'll go ahead and jump into actually sewing up the wallets themselves. So for this very first wallet, I went ahead and made this for myself. I had been carrying the fold and go wallet that I made in the actual written sewing pattern for the last year and a half, and I thought it was time to go ahead and update and get a new wallet. So this is what I came up for myself. So for my wallet here, the inside is exactly as the pattern is written. We have 6 credit card slots with a slip pocket behind for some cash. We have 2 zipper pockets here. I like to carry my change in one of them and my business cards in the other. I also have a little pen loop here to keep a pen handy. And then underneath those, I've got 6 more credit card slots with another slip pocket that I personally like to carry my receipts in. For the back exterior of this wallet, I decided to go ahead and omit the phone pocket, as I was finding that I wasn't carrying my phone with my wallet. I prefer to keep it in my purse or in my back pocket. So that is the change that I made for this particular wallet right here. This next fold and go wallet I made for a friend of mine, Julie. She was carrying the fold and go wallet that I made in the original sewing tutorial from a year and a half ago. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description box below so you can check out that video if you'd like. And she found that she wasn't using a couple of the features, so we went ahead and omitted it from this wallet. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we did for the second wallet. Inside you'll find the 6 credit card slots with the slip pocket for cash. She asked for a single zipper pocket, so we went ahead and did that. Now, when she asked me to go ahead and do that, I had envisioned a certain way that I was going to go ahead and construct it and sew it into the wallet. However, as I got into the video and I was making this wallet, I found that it wasn't going to work how I had originally planned. So I had to go back to the drawing board and rethink how I wanted to do the single pocket. So later in the video, when I'm showing you all of the fabric pieces that I've gone ahead and cut out, there is an additional piece that I decided not to use. I also went ahead and removed the video footage of me making the first single zipper pocket that didn't work out, so you guys don't have to see that. You might see it laying off to the side when I am talking about my wallet and how I made it, and it might look a little bit different. But I do show you exactly how I decided to go ahead and construct this single pocket and insert into the wallet, so you guys can learn how to make that if you only want a single zipper pocket in your wallet. We've got the loop for our pen, and I did go ahead and decide to put it on the bottom side of the zipper pocket here. And then she asked for a slip pocket only. She does not want the 6 credit card slots because she wasn't using those, and she's going to be keeping her checkbook in here, so that's why we went ahead and did it like this. And then she did want to go ahead and have the phone pocket on the back of the wallet because she does carry her phone with her. So those are the changes that we made to the second fold and go wallet. So let's go ahead and get on into making up these beautiful wallets. Let's first talk about fabric and stabilizers and interfacings that I recommend for this project. So I recommend sticking with quilting cotton for this wallet, with the exception of the exterior pocket flap piece right here. You could do cork or vinyl, and the reason that I say stick with quilting cotton is the final top stitching along the credit card slots right here with the phone pocket in the back can get rather bulky, and especially if you're on a domestic machine, you're going to struggle if you're using any thicker fabrics. So stick with quilting cotton for the most part. Stabilizers, I recommend using Decavo Light for this project over foam interfacing because that could be too bulky. I recommend any kind of woven interfacing that you like to use for your quilting cotton pieces. I am using my Sew Woven fusible interfacing that I sell on my website, but you could also use SF101. And the majority of the pieces do have woven interfacing on them when I am using quilting cotton. I'll go over the ones that don't whenever we get to those pieces in the video in a moment. So let's look at the back exterior of this wallet. So the one here in the center is true to the pattern. And what we have right here to start off with is our phone pocket flap. That is pattern piece G. All of my patterns include these little tags that you can go ahead and clip to your cut fabric so you can keep everything organized. You need one exterior, you need one lining, And you are also going to need the phone pocket stabilizer, which is pattern piece F. And I did go ahead and iron that on already. You want to make sure that you have it flush to the curved edge, leaving the top edge right here without any stabilizer. Then we have our phone pocket right here, which is pattern piece E. You need one exterior, you need one lining, and you are going to need a phone pocket flap stabilizer pattern piece H, which I have centered on my fabric and ironed on already. Here is the flap and the pocket itself that I just went over. And now we are left here with our wallet exterior flap, which is pattern piece B. You only need one exterior, and I have that for both of these versions right here. And that is this flap in the front right here. Now we have our wallet exterior A. We need one exterior piece, and I've got that for both of mine. And that is going to be for the lower part of the back, so this portion right here on the wallet. Here is my wallet lining, which is pattern piece C. You need one lining piece, and I have that for both of them. And here is my wallet stabilizer. This is pattern piece D. I'm going to go ahead and iron that on later on whenever I have sewn together my wallet exterior bottom piece here with the flap. So we'll do that later on in the video. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the inside of the wallet and talk about the zipper pockets that I have right here. So I'm doing mine true to the pattern. So here I have four zipper end pieces. These pieces do not have any woven interfacing on them, so you only want just the fabric itself. And that is this portion right here on each of the zipper pockets. So those are our zipper ends. Then we have our zipper pocket exterior pieces, which I've got one right here and the reverse side here. So that is this piece right here, and then the opposite side of the zipper pocket. And I've got my lining pieces. These are our zipper pocket linings. You're gonna need 4 of those. So I've got 4 of those, and we do not need any woven interfacing on those. We wanna keep the bulk down. So no need to put any woven interfacing on those unless you have a preference and you wanna go ahead and do that. You can certainly go ahead and add woven interfacing. So that is what makes up the pocket. And you are going to need 2 8-inch zippers for this particular project. You can go with number 3, which I do have on here, or number 5 zippers. I am going to be using number 5 zippers and number 5 zipper tape. This is available on my website. This is the brand new spring line that we just launched on our website. So this is our lavender color with the gold. So I'll be doing that on mine. However, like I mentioned earlier, on my friends, we are not doing the second zipper pocket, we're just doing one. So I'm doing a little tweaking with the pattern, and I may make changes later on. We'll see how everything goes. But this is what I've cut out for to start with. So for the zipper ends, we only need 2 since we're only making the one zipper pocket. We have our zipper pocket exterior and lining pieces. Like I said earlier, I went ahead and kept the width the same. I divided the length or the height of the pocket in half and added 3/4 of an inch. I think that'll work, but I might have to trim it down a little bit. We'll see. So you're going to have 2 exterior and 2 lining pieces right here. And then I've made up an additional piece to accommodate this modification. This is a 2-inch wide by 8-inch wide piece of fabric. No stabilizers on it. I might add some woven interfacing on it later. We'll see. Ultimately, what I'm planning on doing is folding it down the center, and then we're going to attach it once I have my wallet here to cover the raw edges and also to get it attached to the wallet itself. So that's what I'm thinking. So we'll see how that goes whenever I get to that point. All right, here we have our credit card slots. So we have a slip pocket right here on the top and the bottom with 6 credit card slots on each of those. And so my version is going to be just like the pattern's written. So here we have our credit card slot pieces. And this is one large piece that we're ultimately going to be folding and then cutting in half. You do not want any woven interfacing on that, with the exception that once we get this built, I'll show you later in the video, we will be using these little strips of woven interfacing along the top edges of each of the card slots. So there is a little bit of woven interfacing along each of these top edges for some added stability. This is our card slot back pieces, which is behind here. So you want 2 of those. Again, no woven interfacing on those because we're trying to keep the bulk down. Once you have your credit cards inserted into the card slots, this gets really rigid, so there's really no need to have the additional interfacing on there. So that is my version. And like I mentioned earlier, my friend is not doing the second set of credit cards right here. She's only doing the slip pocket. So for the moment, I've just cut out my credit card slot piece just like the pattern. I haven't made this wallet in over a year, so I just wanted to go ahead and start off with the full size, and I'll probably make it like the pattern's written and then just use half of it. And then you again are going to need your little pieces of woven interfacing for the top edge of the credit card slots. And here I have 1 credit card slot back, which is going to be for this one. And then this piece I went ahead and cut out for the slip pocket right here. So no credit card slots, we're just doing a slip pocket. And let me get the measurements for you on that. This is a 9 by 9 inch slip pocket that we will be folding in half. And I do want to add a little bit of stabilizer on that, so I'll iron that on later. And I'm just going to go ahead and center that. So we'll see if the 9 by 9 ends up working. It might be a little bit too large. I'll cut that down later if I need to, but I just wanted to have the piece cut so I didn't forget about it later on. All right, let's go over the hardware that you need for a Fold and Go wallet, and I'm going to tell you exactly what is in the hardware kits that we sell on our website, and that is to accommodate the wristlet strap as well as the crossbody strap. So the hardware kit includes 1 turn lock. It includes 2 3/4 inch snap hooks, 2 3/4 inch D-rings, 1 3/4 inch wide mouth strap slider, 1 magnetic snap, 1 3/4 inch strap end, and 3 rivets. But let's show you what I am going to be doing on mine. So I am doing the turn lock, or you could do a magnetic snap here. I have bag tags for each of these wallets that I'll be installing. Then I've got my zipper tape. I have 2 8-inch cuts of number 5 zipper tape, or number 3 works just fine. Or on the opposite one, for my friend, we're just doing the 1 zipper, so we only have the 1 cut of zipper tape. And that is all that we're doing here. No other hardware is needed. We do have a 1-inch piece of elastic right here. If you'd like to go ahead and add that, it allows you to carry a pen through there and keep a pen handy. But other than that, that is really all of the hardware that you need in order to make a Fold and Go wallet. Okay, we're going to build our credit card slots. So I have my credit card piece right here. You also need to grab your 8 credit card interfacing pieces. I've already done some prep work here, so let me explain what I've done. The first thing that you want to do is you want to place the 18-inch side furthest away from you, and with a pen you're going to put a T at the top. This is going to keep you oriented as you're drawing your line, so we want this to be identified as the top of the piece of the credit card slots. The next thing that you want to do is you're going to grab your quilting ruler, and you are going to follow the pattern which indicates to draw 6 lines at various increments on the credit card slot piece. And the very first measurement that you're going to be drawing out is 2 1/2 inches down from this top straight edge. So you'll go ahead and place your ruler, find 2 1/2 inches and draw a line. Do that for the second line, which is going to be 4 1/4 inches down from this top edge right here. So you'll do that, and then you're just going to continue on doing the same thing, following the measurements in the pattern to create each additional line. Once you've gone ahead and done that, we want to place our card slot interfacing pieces like I've done right here. The very first set is going to be placed 1/4 inch down from the top edge. So that side that you marked as top, measure in 1/4 inch and place your interfacing. Skip a line. Then the second line that you drew, just beneath that, you're going to go ahead and place your next strips of credit card interfacing. Skip the next line. On the 4th line that you drew, just beneath that, add your interfacing. Skip the 5th line, and then just beneath the 6th line. So let me turn this so that the top is away from me. And this is what yours is going to look like. So you want to have these interfacing pieces basically centered in between here, because ultimately what we're going to do is we are going to cut this into 2 pieces and have 2 sets of credit cards. So let me go ahead then and show you how to do the folding. So the first thing I like to do for folding is I'm going to flip this right side up. I have the top edge closest to me now. And you want to go ahead and turn this so that you can find that very first line that you drew. Fold it on that line and press it with an iron. And now we just continue to fold like an accordion. So I like to take the whole unit right now, flip it over so it is wrong side up, find my next line right here, fold it on that line, press with an iron. I take the whole unit, flip it back, find the third line, which is right here, and you're going to go ahead and fold and press. And I'm just going to keep doing the same thing. And then if you take it and you turn it, this is the top edge right here that we had marked before. Now we have credit card slots. So once you do that, you have it all nice and pressed. You're going to go ahead then and take this over to your sewing machine, and you're going to go ahead and top stitch along each of those credit card slots. So you want to make sure that you're pulling away the pieces beneath, because we only want to go ahead and sew at 1/8 of an inch along each of the folded edges, just like this one. So let me show you. So we've got 3 folded edges with top stitching, and if I bring it out flat, this is what it looks like. We've got those 3 portions there. Here is the opposite side just to show you. So go ahead and get that done. I'm going to do the same thing for this one right here. So here are my credit card slots top stitched. The next thing that you want to do is you're going to find your center. You can do that by folding this in half and then just clipping a little notch at the top and the bottom centers. And then I like to just use my quilting ruler to find the exact center with those notches with a removable marking pen, so something that's going to air erase or heat erase. Go ahead and make a line down the very center. And what we want to do now is we're going to base stitch all of these into place so that way they're actually credit card slots. So I've done that with this one right here. So I drew a line down the center, and then I top stitched along the line that I drew on the left and the right side at 1/8 of an inch. And then I also base stitched along the left and the right edges here at 1/8 of an inch, creating these card slots right here. So I'm just going to take this over to my sewing machine and repeat to go ahead and sew on these credit card slots for this wallet. You want to make sure when you're putting it in your machine that you actually have it upside down. That way your presser foot eases along these folds much easier. So go ahead and do it that way so that the credit card slot folds are closest to you. All right, I have gone ahead and sewn those. Now we just want to divide them into 2 by cutting down on that center line that you've already drawn. Once you've gone ahead and cut those into 2 pieces, you want to go ahead and find the center of each piece and draw a line, and then you're going to go ahead and sew over that line to create your 6 credit card slots like I've already done on this one. And when I do this, I again bring it to my sewing machine, having the folds closest to me and sewing in this direction. And I also like to make sure that I'm back stitching really well along each of these folds, because it's going to be a tension point when you insert your credit cards. So go ahead and do that for both credit card slots. I'll go ahead and do that to these ones right now. Okay, I've got my credit card slots all built, and so we've got 6 here and 6 here. The next step is to grab our credit card slot back pieces. So if you remember earlier in the video, I said for my friend's wallet, we're only doing the credit card slots on the top. So I'm just going to put this one aside, and I'll be able to use this for a future project. I'll probably sew this directly into a bag itself, and then I'll have a purse that has some credit card slots for me. So we're putting that to the side. So now moving forward, we're going to grab our credit card slot for the bag that only has the 1 set of credit cards. And we want to go ahead and take our fabric and place it right sides together. We're going to clip this into place. Do the same thing for the other wallet if you're making 2 or you're following along with this version, which is like the pattern. For my first credit card slot, which is this top one right here, I am going to sew along the top long edge and the bottom long edge at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. For the one like the pattern right here, we're going to do the same thing for one of the card slots, so sew along the top and the bottom long edge at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. However, the second set, which is the lower set right here, we are only sewing along the top straight edge at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, I've gone ahead and sewn the top and bottom edges of this one, and only the top edge of this one. I turned it right side out through the side openings on these two. And then I took it over to my sewing machine and I top stitched along the top edge of the card slots on all 3 of those. We are not doing any top stitching on the bottom edges. That'll be when we install those later. From here, I'm just going to go ahead and set these aside until it's time to install them into the wallet itself. Grab your 2 zippers if you are making the double zipper pockets, or if you're doing a single like I'm doing on this one, just grab your 1 zipper. You're going to grab 4 of your zipper ends or 2 of your zipper ends if you're doing the 1 pocket. You need to grab your zipper pocket exterior and your lining pieces as well. And then this is the extra piece that we are going to modify for the single pocket. Once you do that, you're going to start by prepping out your zippers with your zipper end. And I've already done that on all of these. So let me show you what I've done. We want to find the center of our zipper ends by folding this in half to meet the short raw edges. I usually just go ahead and finger press it, but you can go ahead and take it to your iron and press it. Open this back up and take that short raw edge to meet that center fold. Do the same thing for the opposite side. And then all we need to do is insert the end of our zipper, matching that raw edge of the zipper to that center fold. And we're just going to go ahead and wrap that around there. Clip it, and we're going to sew this on along the edge, the folded edge right here on the inner part of the zipper at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance like I've done for these ones. And once you do that, you will need to trim down your zipper end just a little bit so it's flush with your zipper tape. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done on the last zipper end right here. So let's go ahead and attach our zippers to our exterior zipper pocket pieces. So I'm just going to place the lining pieces aside. And we want to go ahead and take one of our exteriors, one of our zippers. You're going to find the center of your exterior, and we are going to be working with the shorter side, which is 8 inches long right here. And we're going to go ahead and, with that 8-inch side, find the center. Repeat for the opposite side. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that with the other piece as well. Finding the 8-inch, folding the 8-inch side in half and clipping a notch. Then you need to find the center of your zipper. You do not want to cut your zipper tape itself because it could fray over time. So just go ahead and fold that in half to find your center. And I'm just going to lay it down where the center meets the center notch right here. You could also use your pen to make a little marking if you want, but we're just going to be clipping this right into place. So you want to center that zipper on the 8-inch side. Do that for the opposite side as well. And we're going to come in and base stitch this into place at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance for both zippers. My zippers are now sewn on, and I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but we're going to have that zipper tape facing right sides together with the fabric. And you want to make sure that when your zipper pulls are closed, that they're both in the same direction. So I've got both of my zipper pulls closed and they are to the left. I've done almost the same thing with this version, the single pocket that we're making. So I've just done the 1 zipper here centered. The next thing that we want to do is we're going to go ahead and place our lining pieces. So grab your 4 lining pieces for the double zipper pocket. You're going to go ahead and place the zipper pocket lining right sides together with the exterior fabric. Clip this into place. Do the same thing for the opposite side so that we have the raw edges right here. Sew this on with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance along each edge of the zipper. Okay, I've got those sewn on, so here's what we are looking at right now. The next step is to attach the opposite exterior right here to the opposite side of the zipper tape. So we're going to go ahead now and expose the zipper tape here. Find our centers, which I already did on this one. Find the center of our zipper. And place the zipper right sides together with the 8-inch side of the zipper pocket exterior, matching the centers. Clip it in place, base stitch with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the opposite side right here. I'm going to bring this up, finding the center. Okay, so let me show you the opposite side. So this is the exterior that we need to go ahead and sew on. Alright, I've got that other exterior now sewn on. So we need to add our lining pieces now. So here we have the wrong side of our zipper, and we need to attach the lining to the wrong side of the zipper. So grab one of your lining pieces. You're going to match everything up, and you're going to clip it into place and sew this with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Repeat for the opposite side. 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, my lining is now sewn on, so let me kind of give you an overview of what it's looking like. So that is the exterior of our zipper pocket there. Next, we're going to be creating a French seam, and we want to pull the lining piece nice and tight against the exterior fabric right here. And for the moment, I'm just going to make a little clip this into place and do this for the opposite side, and then I'll join those together. And then we want to take these sewn edges here right next to the zipper end and match those up and clip that into place. And then we're going to continue clipping along the edge. I can go ahead now and just join these together. I'm going to repeat to do the same thing for this side. Alright, so this half of my pocket is now clipped together. I'm going to repeat for the opposite side. Alright, now that this is all clipped into place, we're going to take this over to our sewing machine, and we are going to sew down the left and the right side at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. You also want to make sure that your zippers are open so that way you can turn this. That's been sewn together. I'm just going to take my scissors and clean up my edges a bit, because we are going to be creating that French seam in a moment, and I don't want all these extra little pieces of threads and fabrics to be poking out of our French seam. And next, we are going to go ahead and turn this right side out. Make sure you poke out your corners. You could take this over to your iron now and press the seams nice and flat if you'd like, which I'll do in a moment. And what we're going to do now is encase those raw edges that are there by top stitching along the left and the right side at a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So let me press this, top stitch, and then I'll come back to show you. Okay, I've got my pocket all completed and top stitched here. Here's the inside. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. Okay, I've turned that right side out, and I went ahead and top stitched around the outside edge here at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. The next thing that you want to do is install your magnetic snap, and you're going to be installing the male portion of your magnetic snap. What you want to do is you're going to grab a ruler, and you're going to measure up 5/8 of an inch from the bottom center of your flap, which I've already done. I made a notch. I laid my washer on top of where I went ahead and made that little marking. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the holes for my prongs. And I like to use this cutting mat that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to insert that into here and cut my prongs and my holes for my prongs in just a moment here. insert my washer, and then I'll be right back. Go ahead and grab your phone pocket exterior with your stabilizer already ironed on like this one, and your phone pocket lining piece. You're also going to need your magnetic snap and your 2 washers. The first step is to go ahead and place the exterior and lining right sides together. Clip it into place and sew along this outside edge at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once this is sewn, you can trim down your seam allowances to about 1/8 inch. You could also come in and snip around your curves right here, close to your stitching, so that way whenever you do turn it right side out, it lays a lot flatter around the curves. Here is my magnetic snap installed. So I added some duct tape and some Decovil right there behind the washer, so that way whenever I have this on for a long period of time, it's not rubbing through to the opposite side. Next, let's go ahead and grab our phone pocket exterior piece with the stabilizer centered and ironed into place. Grab your pattern piece E. In the center here, we've got the magnetic snap placement guide. Fold your pattern piece in half like this and lay it on top of your exterior piece. And then with your pen, you're going to go ahead and mark the very center point. That's going to tell me where I need to place my magnetic snap. So now I'm just going to lay my washer on top of that dot that I just did to mark out where my prongs go. And I'm going to go ahead and install the male portion of my magnetic snap now. Okay, I've got the male portion now installed. Let's grab our phone pocket lining piece. Place that right sides together with the exterior. Clip this into place, and then you're going to sew with 1/4 inch seam allowance along the top straight edge, along these square cutouts right here. And then you're going to go ahead and sew about 1 inch in on both bottom corners here, leaving about a 2 to 3, more like a 3-inch gap right here in the center, because we're going to go ahead and turn it through this opening. Now that that's sewn, we're going to go ahead and trim down our seam allowances to about 1/8 inch. I would also go ahead and clip right in towards that corner without clipping the stitching as well. So let me go ahead and get all of that done, and I'll turn it right side out. Okay, I've gone ahead and turned my pocket right side out. I top stitched along this top straight edge at 1/8 inch. I also top stitched around this corner right here and this corner as well. However, I did not do any top stitching around the bottom edge right here, and I made sure to fold in the opening that I went ahead and left, so that way we can go ahead and stitch that down a little bit later. Now you want to grab your wallet exterior and your wallet exterior flap piece. And we're going to start by working with our phone pocket flap piece. Find the centers of all 3 of these pieces. You're going to take your wallet phone flap right here and lay that centered on top of your wallet exterior, clip it into place, and you're going to base stitch this on with 1/8 inch seam allowance. Next, take your wallet exterior flap and place that right sides together on top of the phone flap and the phone or the wallet exterior. And we're going to sew this with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And now that that is sewn together, we need to go ahead and grab our wallet stabilizer piece here. So here's my Decovil light. And I'm going to go ahead and have the flap, phone flap, in the up position like this, making sure that the seam is nice and flat right here. And we're going to place our Decovil light centered on top of the exterior piece of our wallet, and we're going to go ahead and iron this into place. Alright, I've got my stabilizer ironed on. Now I want to come in and top stitch just beneath the phone pocket flap right here at 1/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, now that I've got that top stitched, the next step is to go ahead and place our phone pocket. And the way we do that is we are going to place it wrong side up like this, 3 inches down from this edge, centered. So I've already made my markings, and the way that I did that is I took my ruler right here and found 3 inches down, and then this is a 9-inch wide piece, so we're going to go 4.5 inches is the center, and then we found the center of this portion right here, which was 3.25 inches, and so we're just going to go ahead and match that up. I'm going to go ahead and sew this on with 1/8 inch seam allowance to start, and then I'm going to sew a second row at 1/8 inch from that first one, or it would be 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch, same difference. Now once that's sewn, you're going to flip your phone pocket so that it's up, and we want it to be 1/2 inch down from this edge right here. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that and make sure that it's 1/2 inch down. just like that. And then you're going to go ahead and match the raw edges of the phone pocket to the exterior and clip that into place. And as you can see, you're going to have a bump out just like this. That's going to give you room to have your phone in there. Base stitch these sides at 1/8 of an inch. All right, these are now base stitched into place. Now all we got to do is close our phone pocket. And you might need to go ahead and use your hands around the edge right here to kind of roll over that phone pocket flap so that it gives a nice bump out. And just kind of work it with your hands, get it to form into the shape that you need it to be. All right, so that is the phone pocket. Let's switch gears and go to the other wallet where we're not doing the phone pocket. This one's pretty simple. All we have to do is take the exterior flap with the exterior, put those right sides together, and sew that with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that that's sewn on, I can go ahead and add my stabilizer just like I did with the other one, having the seam going to the down position. So let me go ahead and iron that on. Now I'm going to top stitch here at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that the two exteriors are constructed, we're going to set that aside and move back to assembling our lining. Retrieve all of the components for the lining of the wallet that you previously constructed. So we've got our 2 card slot pieces right here, our zipper pocket right here, and then our lining. The first thing that we want to do is we're going to grab the card slots that has the opened end, the raw edges right there, and we are going to go ahead and place that matching at the bottom of the lining just like this. We are going to clip this into place, and we are going to base stitch this with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance down both these sides. Now grab the remaining card slot piece that has the sewn bottom edge right there, and we are going to be placing that 5 inches up from the bottom of the lining right here. I'll make sure that that's more precise when I have it over at my sewing machine. But again, you're going to go ahead here and you're going to base stitch the left and the right side as well as the bottom edge with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now I'm going to grab my 1-inch piece of elastic right here. I'm going to fold that in half, and I am going to place that in the center between these 2 card slot pieces. And I'm going to take that to my sewing machine and base stitch that in place with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, the elastic is now secure into place. Now it's time to go ahead and add our zipper pocket right here. Now typically you're going to go ahead and place it so that the zipper pulls when closed is to the left. But this wallet's going to be for me. I'm left-handed, so I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to have my zipper pulls over here to the right. What we want to do is find the center of our zipper pocket. We also want to make sure that we have the lining pieces in there nice and flat, that they're not folded up or bubbled up at all before we go and proceed on. But mine is good. So now I'm going to find the center of my wallet, or my zipper pocket right here. And I can add a little clip right here and do the same thing for the opposite side. And now we just need to go ahead and place the zipper pocket here, right between the 2 card slot pieces, and it's going to be going over top of the elastic. So we want to make sure it's also centered in between here. So I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to get this centered. I'm going to lay it open like this. Then I'm going to go ahead and sew a line straight across my card slot, and then I'm going to sew a second line 1/8 of an inch away, and then the opposite side I'm going to go ahead and do 1/8 of an inch away. So there's going to be 3 rows of stitching right here that are 1/8 of an inch away from each other. All right, I've got those 3 rows of stitches completed, and I've also checked inside of each of my zipper pockets here to make sure that the lining got caught within there, so there's no raw seams inside there. And I've got my pen, little slip pen loop here, so all you got to do is insert a pen to keep your pen handy with you. So let's move on to the other wallet. So here is the other wallet where we're doing the 1 card slot and the 1 zipper pocket. We are doing a slip pocket as well, so I need to kind of work that out right now to see what size I need to make it. I believe I had made it 9 inches by 9 inches, and that is correct, but I did take a look at it in comparison to the wallet that I just completed as far as the size of the card slots, and I want to make sure that it's about the same. And I do need to trim this down a little bit because it is a little bit taller. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll let you know what size I make my slip pocket. Alright, I decided to make my slip pocket 9 inches wide by 8 inches high. And then I went ahead and added some stabilizers to the half of it. So that is a 4-inch wide piece of stabilizer, which I've gone ahead and ironed into place already. I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half, and I'm going to top stitch along the top edge here at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. All right, I've gone ahead and placed my slip pocket down here, just like I did with the card slots on the other wallet. And I'm going to go ahead and sew just down the left and the right side at 1/8 of an inch base stitch. I've also placed my credit card slots here that had the sewn bottom edge 5 inches up from the bottom here. And we're going to go ahead and base stitch that on with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then sew along the bottom at 1/8 of an inch. This is attempt number 2 in the single zipper pocket wallet, and I've gone ahead and recut my fabric and added some woven interfacing to my exterior fabric only. And what I've gone ahead and done is I've cut the exterior pieces at 8 inches wide by 4 3/4 of an inch high. And then my lining pieces, I went ahead and cut those at 8 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches wide. So I want my lining a little bit shorter, a 1/2 of an inch shorter than my exterior. I went ahead and sewed those on like I showed you in the first version, and went ahead and did my top stitching here. So for top stitching, I went along the zipper here as well as the zipper end. So I did not do top stitching all the way to the end of my pieces right here. So I just went around in a rectangle to do my top stitching. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold my exteriors together. So this is a little bit different than the double version. And I want to make sure that I get my edges lined up. I'm going to clip these into place. And once I get all this clipped into place, I'll do the same thing for the lining right here, which I'll do off camera in a moment. But I'm going to go ahead then and take this over to my sewing machine. I am going to sew along the lining all the way down the side, completely across the exterior, back down, and then I'm going to stop about 2 inches in on the lining. So I want to leave about a 4-inch gap here so I can turn this right side out. I do want to go ahead and open up my zipper, which I always forget to do, so that I can turn it through the zipper. So let me go ahead and get that sewn and turn right side out, and I'll show you what it looks like. I went with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance around here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it now right side out. Alright, now that I've got that done, I'm going to take my lining and pull that out and close this up with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So let me go ahead and get that done. I also took this over to my iron and I pressed my exterior flat. I want to keep the lining out because when I sew this on in just a moment, I don't want the lining to add the bulk to the bottom right here, so I want to make sure that's out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and grab my lining piece and my 1-inch piece of elastic, and for this one I'm going to go ahead and place the loop in the downward position, and I'll base stitch that just like I did the other wallet. Then I'm going to come in, center this zipper pocket right here with the zipper pull closed. Is going to be on the left hand side. So right now I've got it open, so that's why it's over here. And I'm going to go ahead and center this on the wallet, and I'm going to come in and do anywhere from 2 to 3 rows of stitching that are just 1/8 of an inch away from each other. That way I can go ahead and also get the end of the elastic covered. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of that done, and I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, 2 rows of stitching did the job and made sure that the opposite end of the elastic was covered up there. So now I'm just going to tuck my pocket back in and make sure it's nice and flat. Close up the wallet. And there we have the single zipper pocket in our wallet, so we can go ahead and move on to the next step. Here I've got my wallets mocked up with wrong sides together, so here is the lining and the exterior, and I like to clip those into place just in a couple of locations to kind of help me look at where I'm going to be folding my wallet and where I want to go ahead and place my bag tag if I have one. So I will be using a bag tag. You want to account for a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Everybody's bag tag is a little bit different as far as the size goes, so your placement's going to vary, but you can go ahead now and play around and see where you want your bag tag to be. Take into consideration your turn lock as well. I am going to be using a turn lock on this one, and I actually may not do a bag tag on this one, or if I do decide to go ahead and do it, I may actually put it on the back side of this wallet, and that might be a nice location. So I'm gonna go ahead and determine where I want to put mine. I'm thinking I might actually leave it off of this one. Now let's look at the other one. The other one's only going to have a magnetic snap, so there is not going to be any turn lock in the way. So if I go ahead and fold this up, then I can take a look at my bag tag, and I am likely going to go ahead and put it right here. I think that looks really nice and centered. So it's going to vary based upon your size of your bag tag, but at this point we want to go ahead and install our bag tags. I'm going to do my turn lock and my magnetic snap after I've sewn these two pieces together, because that's the way I like to do it on my wallet. Now that my bag tag is installed, I'm going to go ahead and place the lining and the exterior right sides together. I'm going to go ahead then and clip this all around the edges, and I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and I am going to start sewing at the bottom left hand corner around the curved edge right here and stopping at the bottom right hand corner. Do not sew here. We're going to leave this open because this is where we're going to turn the bag later. Go ahead and sew this at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that I've got that sewn, I'm going to go in and trim my seam allowances down to about 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this through the bottom opening. You want to make sure that you are turning it so that you can see the phone pocket here in the back. This is the outside back exterior right here. You don't want to mistakenly go ahead and turn it through this side here, which is my slip pocket or my card pocket, so move that to the side. And we're going to reach in and turn this right side out. Now I'm going to go ahead and install my magnetic snap on this one. So we are working with the lining side right here. I have measured down 1 inch from the top center right here. I've inserted my cutting board or cutting mat right here that I had from the Dollar Tree so that I can go ahead and make my cuts right here. So I've already done my markings, placing the washer 1 inch down there from that top edge, marking off where the prongs are going to be. I'm going to go ahead and make my cuts and insert my magnetic snap. We are going to be inserting the female portion of the magnetic snap. Alright, I've got that now installed. And I've gone ahead and installed the male portion, and the way that I did that is I measured up 2 inches from the bottom center of the wallet on the exterior side. So you can see here, this is our exterior, so 2 inches up. And then we had our magnetic snap 1 inch down from the top center. And now if we were to fold this up, we can go ahead and snap our wallet. Now we still need to go in and finish top stitching and closing up the opening. But this is a little sneak peek at what our wallet's looking like. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this over to my sewing machine, and I am going to go ahead and take this slip pocket right here, or if it was the card slots, you want to go ahead and flip the bottom like this. So that way you basically have your card slots or your slip pocket here on the exterior. So this is what it's going to look like. We're going to clip this bottom edge together, and I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine. Sew with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Once this is sewn, trim your seam allowance down to about 1/8 of an inch. And then flip this so that it's right side out now. Poke out your corners. Now I'm going to take this to my iron and press the entire wallet, and then I'm going to come in and top stitch with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance along the whole entire exterior. I like to do my top stitching with the lining facing up just like this, and you'll need to go ahead and take your pockets and kind of fold them out of the way as you're doing the sides. It can get pretty bulky right here when you have the phone pocket, so take your time going around the edges right there. So let me go ahead and get all of that done. Alright, there I have my fold and go wallet where I can go ahead and put my phone in there. Here is the inside. We got our pen loop, credit card slots. We can put money back there. You can put money in the this slip pocket as well, or your checkbook. And what I did do is I started and stopped my stitching right here. I like to do that at this point so the back stitching is kind of hidden here in the fold. So this one is now complete. Let's move on and finish up the other wallet. Alright, I've got my wallet ready to go. I just need to do a couple more steps here. So what I did is I placed right sides together and I sewed around that outside edge with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, just like I did on the first wallet. My opening is still open here. I then went ahead and placed my turn lock. Every turn lock is going to vary depending on the turn lock that you're using, but for me, I went ahead and measured 1.5 inches down from the center right here, and that is where I went ahead and placed my turn lock. The next thing that I did is I went ahead and placed the other side of my turn lock, and for that it ended up being 1 7/8 of an inch from the center right here. So 1 7/8 of an inch, I placed that portion of my turn lock. And so now all I have to do is go ahead and turn this portion wrong side out, close it up like I did last time with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to come in and top stitch everything. And here is my completed fold and go wallet without the phone pocket, but everything else is just like how the pattern has it. So there you have it. Here are our brand new fold and go wallets. I can't wait to start carrying mine, and I think my friend is going to love hers. Go ahead and share pictures of your completed fold and go wallet in our Facebook group. I'll put a link in the description box below. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. Now that I've sewn mine, it's time to sew yours.